Good afternoon, everybody. It's Wednesday, um, just after lunch. I've been thinking about doing this video over the past week or so, mostly because, well, first of all, there was controversy over the whether to buy the lyrics book or not. That's all in the past now. We're all friends and peace and love. Then I did a video on Paul McCartney ranking his top 10 solo albums. Joe Mayo did a response video to that. But a lot of comments came into me on a video I did, especially on the lyrics book, which I've since taken down, defending John Lennon. And it wasn't my intention to kind of put John down and build Paul up. I just, my opinion of being a Beatles fan since 1964 on, how they work together and stuff like that. We all form our opinions from books we've read and, the stories we've been told. And my opinion was that Paul was the stronger musician in the band, more accomplished, and just understood melody and just a bit more than John. It doesn't mean John wasn't fantastic. So, to make a long story short, I've been thinking about doing a video comparing Paul and John's solo efforts in the 70s, because that's all you can do is do from 70 to 80, because that's when John was around. So it would not be fair to bring Paul's work after 1980 into it. So I did a little bit of background research this morning to get my dates right. And I picked all the albums that John did in the 70s and Paul from 1970 to 1980. And then I tried to match them by dates as best I could. And then I'm going to do kind of a album versus album. Some of them I had to play with the dates a little bit, but I'll explain as I go along. So obviously the first one, 1970, is McCartney versus Plastic Ono Band. So I'm going to kind of try and battle the two against each other and see which one I like better. This is right off the top of my head. I've been listening to these albums since I was 17 years old in 1970, so I've been listening to these albums for 40, 50 years. So it's just my opinion. First, so McCartney versus Plastic Ono Band. McCartney, an album that didn't get much love when it came out, versus Plastic Ono Band, which I think got quite a bit of attention when it came out. I really like McCartney. It's in my top 10, and I was in my top 2. But, I changed, it dropped down a few notches in my latest ranking. But I think it's a fine album. Every Night's a great song. Maybe I'm Amazed is a classic, one of Paul's best songs. It's got a lot of good stuff on here. It's also got some messy filler, like Kareem, a core where he's doing the core where he's doing the drum thing. And the lovely Linda's just a bit of a 10-second lilting thing. That would be Something's kind of a cool song, but yeah, it's a really good album. I love it, so I play it a lot. I got no problem with it at all. I rank it right up there with his best records. P.O.B., on the other hand, Plastic Ono Band, is, I think, John's greatest album. I also think it's the second best solo Beatles album behind All Things Must Pass. So this is really, really high on my like meter. Love every song on it. I love the rawness of it. I love the emotion of it. It just never gets old. And just a masterpiece from John. So John is scoring big time on Plastic Ono Band. I'm going to get myself a pen here so I keep track of my score. So Plastic Ono Band is in the lead. John's in the lead. In 1971, John released Imagine in September of 71, and Paul released Ram in May of 71. And also, he released late in 71 Wildlife. So I'm going to eliminate Wildlife because I'm going to be bringing it up in the next round. So it's going to be Imagine against Ram. Two albums that came out in the same year. And, there's a lot of attention on these albums from the bickering between John and Paul. Obviously, Paul started it off with Too Many People, preaching practices, directed at John. John was pissed. How do you sleep? So, but let's talk about these albums. This is ranked number 1 in my Paul McCartney list. I just love this album. Every song, every minute of it. Too Many People, Three Legs, Ram On, Dear Boy, Uncle Albert, and Admiral Halsey. Smile Away's great. Heart of the Country's great. Monkberry Moon Delight, what a great vocal. Eat at Home, Long Haired Lady, Ram On, and Backseat of My Car is fantastic. This is just a great, great record. Pretty much a homemade album with Paul and Linda, and but really quaint and just solid. It's just gotten so much better over the years. Great, great record. Oh, this is tough. Imagine, a classic. That's John's anthem, is the title song, Imagine. But to be quite honest with you, like Crippled Inside, they're good songs. Jealous Guy, It's So Hard, I Don't Want to Be a Soldier Mama. I really like this album. Give Me Some Truth is great. Oh My Love is probably one of my favorites. How Do You Sleep's a great song. How Do I Go Forward? How and Oh Yoko. It's it's a great album, but I'm going with Ram because it's just such a solid album. So we've kind of got a tie here after 1971 between Paul and John. So now we move into 1972. So John released Sometime in New York. This is John's kind of radical period here. Paul, in December of 71, released Wildlife. So that's close enough to 72 that I got to match them up. So Wildlife versus Sometime in New York. I didn't care for Wildlife for years and years and years. I think I mentioned it in my last video that was only inspired to really give it another shot from watching my good friend Norman Maslov praise this record and rate it very highly in his rankings. And I went out and bought myself another copy of it. I got the 2 CD set with the outtakes and stuff, and I'll tell you, it's a good record. I like it. It ranked in my top 10, and I am a fan of this record. If you've kind of felt the same way I did, give it another chance. It's pretty good. Sometime in New York is all over the frickin' place. It is. There's some okay songs on this, but I'm telling you, I don't think this is considered a very good album in John's catalog. So I am going with Wildlife. So Paul is up 2-1. Okay, next. 1973, John releases Mind Games. Paul releases Red Rose Speedway, and at the end of the year, Band on the Run. So as of what I just did with Wildlife, Band on the Run was released in December of 73. So, and Paul didn't release anything in 74. So this is going to be considered 74 because it's late in the year. So it's basically Red Rose Speedway versus Mind Games. Mind Games. Some great stuff on here. Title track. Mind Games. Tight As, okay. Asima Sen is a good song. One Day. Bring on the Lucy. Utopian International Anthem. What else is on this? I don't think the songs are listed on the back, so I've got to check out the back of the album here. Intuition, which I'm not a fan of. Out the Blue is a great song. Here You Are, Meat City. I don't think this is a strong John Lennon album. At the time, I loved it, but I don't really think it stood the test of time. And what have we got with Red Rose Speedway? If anybody watched my ranking video, they're going to know I gave a lot of love to Red Rose Speedway. It's an album, again, I just started to pay a lot of attention to, and it's great. I love it. So Paul is moving ahead 3-1. I'm a bit surprised at this, but it's happening. Okay, like I said, I got to move Band of the Run up to 1974 to compete with Walls and Bridges. This is going to be one of the hardest ones I have to pick because behind Plastic Ono Band, this is my favorite John Lennon album. I love every song on this album. I think it's great. I think he did a great job on this. Whatever Gets You Through the Night was the big hit, but Going Down on Love is great. Old Dirt Road's great. Bless You and Scarred are great. Dream Number 9 is a classic. Surprise, Surprise is great. Steel and Glass is just amazing. Nobody Loves You When You're Down and Out. This is just an exceptional record from John, as far as I'm concerned. Now, Band on the Run. Another one I just love. I've never got sick of this album. A lot of people think, they get sick of some of the songs on it. But, man, Band on the Run's a classic song. The opening track and title track. Jet was a big hit. I like Bluebird. Mrs. Vanderbilt's okay. Let Me Roll It is just superb. With the reverb and echo and that on Paul uses, he pretty much sounds like John on that song. It sounds like a Lennon song. Mamooni is okay. No Words. I like Picasso's Last Stand. Drink to Me, Drink to My Health. I think it's kind of cool, and I love the little percussive parts in it. And 1985 is a great song too. This is a fantastic album. I'm going with Walls and Bridges. Sorry, Paul, because I do love Band on the Run. John's got 2 now. 3-2 for Paul. Okay, we're going to 1975. My apologies. I just discovered I don't own a copy of Rock and Roll, John Lennon's Rock and Roll, but that's what the album is coming up. I'm more than familiar with it, so but I just can't show it. It's going against... So, 1974, Walls and Bridges came out in November of 74. I'm going to Rock and Roll. Rock and Roll came out in February of 75, and Venus and Mars came out in May of 75. So Venus and Mars versus Rock and Roll. This is an easy one for me. Rock and Roll, I'm not a fan of at all. John could have done a much better job on that. I thought it was too laid back. He should have rocked it up. It should have been John revisiting his Hamburg attitude, and I didn't think that happened on that album. It's not that it's a bad record, but man, he could have just, ripped it up like a twist and shout and money kind of vocals, but that didn't happen on that record. And Venus and Mars is just my second favorite McCartney album. I've loved this album from the first day it came out. So Venus and Mars is up 4-2 for Paul. Okay, John takes a rest now for a few years and becomes a house husband and all that stuff. We all know the story. So in 1976, 77, or 78 and 79, Paul had released Wings at the Speed of Sound, London Town, Back to the Egg, and of course the great live album Wings Over America, that great tour. So I'm just ignoring those albums because John was kind of in semi-retirement there. So we got to go the last one. 1980 is John's last record, Double Fantasy, versus the record Paul released in 1980 in May, McCartney 2. Double Fantasy. Everybody was so excited when this album came out. Starting Over was all over the radio. I still remember being in my car the first time I got to hear it, and just in probably November or October, November of that year, and just thinking, this is so cool to have John back. It was just so nice to hear his voice. And even though it's not I don't. It's not an epic Lennon composition, in my opinion. It's like I said, John lost his energy a bit, I think. But except for "I'm Losing You," then he kind of brought it back with that. There's some great songs on here, and the Yoko tracks. I've grown used to them. I would prefer if this would have been a complete John Lennon album, but I understand the record, and I'm good with it. It's a fine record and a good legacy to John. McCartney 2. I didn't like this album when it came out. I thought it was horrible, actually, and it's only been in the last year or so that I thought I got to give this another chance. I haven't listened to it for 30 years. And then in the last year or so, like I said, so Coming Up's a great song, the opening track. Temporary Secretary's okay. This is a fine album. It's good, but I'm gonna give. The funny thing is I listen to this more than I listen to Double Fantasy. I hardly ever play Double Fantasy. So what do I do here? It's pretty much a tie because but I'm listening to this more than that one. Unfortunately, I think I'm gonna go with, just because, not historically, but just in the present, living in the present, I listen to this, and I haven't played Double Fantasy forever. So I got to give it to Paul. So my score is Paul wins 5-2. Now, I want to say that I am not anti-John Lennon. As a matter of fact, from the minute I saw the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show in 1964, I was immediately drawn to John. There was something about the mischievous look in his eye and the way he stood with his guitar and his voice, and I just, right away, just was so drawn to him. He became my hero from that moment on, and still is to this day. So more so than Paul, much more so than Paul, and I love Paul to death. I mean, it was John and Paul together just created this magic that will never be equaled as far as I'm concerned. So, but solo wise, I just happen to think Paul's catalog in the 70s, in the same period that John was able to do solo records, stands up better today than John's. I appreciate everybody watching this, and I would appreciate your comments. You can tell me I'm full of crap. I love that. Give me some thumbs down. I don't even care. I love the thumbs down too. Just remember, when you give me a thumbs down, YouTube still considers it you're viewing the channel, so that's all I care about, that you're watching, whether you agree with me or not. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. I would love to see some responses to this video if anybody wants to do one. And peace out, everyone. Let's all get along. All you need is love. Peace out.